everyone. Welcome to this week's Fireside Creators. I am your host, Reverend Dr. Sherry Pallas. Tonight, we are chatting about the 2024 election. We have a very diverse panel, but I will not pretend that this is a balanced discussion. I lived in Florida for 30 years and with a full-on Trumpster for 6. I have heard it all, and I simply won't give value or time to that voice. We see it all over social media anyway. What we will do tonight is address the misinformation, racism, and outright lies that we are being bombarded with. For over 30 years, I have mocked the media with their, "this is the most important election of our lives." Rightfully, I said that that was crying wolf, but here we are. A GOP presidential candidate and millions of his supporters are hoping to overthrow our country. A country based on laws has a presidential candidate that is a 34-time felon. So tonight, I hope to restore some level of sanity. Maybe you will hear something that resonates and causes you to realize the magnitude of next Tuesday. Truly historical implications. One where our country dies, like all of the other great democracies throughout history, or lives to see another election in 4 years. And I can hear Trumpsters now saying, no, Harris will do that with socialism. That is based on zero facts and highlights how deep you are in your bubble. But let's talk this out. Please remember to keep all of the comments and questions related to the show topic and that this is a safe space. Thank you for joining us, and I'm looking forward to all of your comments and questions. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe. If you're on Facebook, grant StreamYard access so when we see your name, we can see your name when you have a comment or a question. Thank you for welcoming us into your home and joining the conversation. I appreciate you all. The follow-up course for my book is out. I am so proud of it. And like my book, it covers so many different topics that I have to scroll. Look at that. I've got experts and experienced people out there that are going to help every one of us move beyond the dogma, the bad dogma. Go check it out. They're great reviews so far. I can't wait to hear your thoughts about my book and the follow-up course. It's self-paced, and once you enroll, including when I add new contributors, it's a lifetime enrollment. I'm so proud of it, and I hope you love it too. We can get beyond the destructive dogma, individualism, racism, homophobia, and the patriarchy if we do it together. I hope you enjoy the course and all of the wonderful people that I got to be in it. Get in now because prices are going up on Friday. Go to my website, find the book club. Oop, banners. There we go. Find the book club tab and all the info is there. I can't wait to see you there. Thanks in advance, and let's meet our guests and get smarter. Cami Beck loves history, good food, and wine, traveling, interested in conversation, but does not like conspiracy theories. Welcome back, Cami.
Hi.
I'm so glad you're here.
I'm just so excited about this. Well, kind of excited, kind of anxious. I mean,
right? We all are.
It's just so. It's
just so.
It's just a different feeling, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's bring on the rest. Ashley Lavendier was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, to deeply religious. Let me get her picture up. Their picture up. So sorry. Was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, to deeply religious parents. Ash had nothing come easy. A fierce go-getter, Ash holds passion for intersexual advocacy. As a Reformed Catholic and a spiritual mystic, one saying holds strongest: if the door isn't open, ram it down somewhere else. Welcome, Ash. Oh, I can't hear you. Are you there?
Did my mic out for a second?
Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah, I can hear you now. Maybe I just need to turn mine up louder. And last but not least, we have Reverend Timothy Warren. He was ordained in the Episcopal Church in 2013. He is currently a priest with the Convergent Catholic Communion. He developed the outreach ministry, St. Francis ISM, which provides pastoral care to those in the community and via social media. Father Tim is a retired Air Force reservist and retired public school teacher. He lives in Phelan, California. So close, and we've never gotten together. There's just something wrong with that. Hi, Tim.
Hi,
Welcome
how
back.
you doing?
I am so glad you guys are all here. So we can, let me open with my joke that I prepared you. A Black woman, a priest, and I mess a non-binary lesbian walk into a bar, and that's our conversation. I did it. Totally fucked up the joke, but I got it out there. So I am so glad that we have this diversity, because I think that all of our voices, including my own, really aren't being heard out there right now. It's more of a muffled, oh, just get over it, you're being hyperbolic or something to that effect, being very dismissive. A good example would be totally dismissing the racist, sexist, disgusting nature of the Madison Square Gardens rally. Now libs need a sense of humor and all of those things. And I posted today that if Trump had a sense of humor, he wouldn't have been president, because Obama told a joke about him and incited him so much that he became president. So there's so much hypocrisy going on. And I want to address the misinformation. And I think each one of you have a section that you guys can represent, including me, where this misinformation, the hatred and stuff is really being centralized. And I want you to speak out about it and educate our audience. So Cammie, you go first. As a Black woman, what are you hearing? What needs to be out there right now to be heard?
So right now, we need to just get out and vote. I mean, act like she is way behind. We just need to get out and vote. Right now, the Black vote in North Carolina is lagging behind in early votes, but I am assuming because they're busy, they'll turn up in person on voting day. A lot of where everybody's trying to focusing, used all the media and everything else in the closing, is like they're trying to focusing on bring Black men together. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of misinformation they're getting from, and the news, because I mean they were a lot with Black men. I would say is every time I were like, sometimes on Twitter too, and they were like talking about, yeah, I'm voting for Trump because it gave us like $1,000. I'm like,
Stymie. That's it.
It's
all over Twitter.
All over Twitter. And I'm just like, do y'all know how your government works?
Right.
Because Congress is the one who did that. I said he didn't want to give y'all that $1,000. And I said, if he gets elected, he's not going to give y'all $1,000 every year.
Let me stop you there, because we need to put some perspective into this $1,000. Okay.
Right.
There were like 90 people in Congress who got the COVID loans that they don't have to pay back for millions.
Right.
Millions. We were given table scraps to barely scrap by. And people go, well, I got $1,000. I didn't lose my home. I get that. There were too many months during COVID that I was like, holy shit, I may be homeless next month. But to make it seem like Trump was out there for us in that, when they were getting these millions and millions of dollars for the same type of thing, and approving it left and right through Congress.
Right.
That stymie was really just like the paper towels and
exactly. And then I was like, do y'all not remember that we got one during the Great Recession? Yeah. Like with Obama. And then we got more money with Biden. That was like $1,200.
Yeah.
So I just don't get it. And also they're having trouble of, voting for a woman, especially a Black woman.
Misogyny.
Yeah, the misogyny is coming out. And I'm just like, because what Obama said in Charlotte, he was right. He was on point. And a lot of people, there was a lot of like hit dogs were hollering because they were just like, I can't believe he said that and blah, blah, blah. He's so condescending. And I'm just like,
he called us out. Yeah.
Right. He's talking about you.
Right.
So, I mean, the closing argument is like half of the closing argument is going to be Kamala trying to reach out to the young black men and the older black men. I was also reading that I think it's a media thing that's just pushing in kind of like a false narrative about this anyway.
I think so. Polls are bullshit.
You're right, exactly. So I think she's outperforming more than Biden was with black men anyway.
Right.
So it's really ridiculous. Like here in North Carolina, it's so far they saying like Republicans are like outpacing the Democrats a little bit with early voting, but they got to remember North Carolina tends to split tickets anyway, especially we got this governor's race going on. So and also a lot of Republicans who are not voting for Trump anyway. They are either going to vote for somebody else or they're going to break in for Harris. And people are not taking that into context.
Right. Father Tim, what does this election mean to you? By the way, Sarah, for people who listen to this as a podcast or something like that, I want to call out Sarah's point because it's a very valid point. Sarah says that the $1,000 from DJT means the same to me as there being a good economy in DJT's first years. None of that was his doing. He rode Obama's coattails all the way to, I mean, even before he took office, he was saying, oh, the stock market's so wonderful because they know I'm coming in. So he is the biggest poser, like Melania stealing Michelle's speech and all of those things. We just have to stop the gullibility that we were seeing across our electorate. I'm sorry, Tim. Now it's your turn.
Thank you. There's two big issues for me that I find extremely concerning. One is his attitude about the military and how he wants to use the military to enforce his will onto our nation. When I took my oath of enlistment, I swore to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. MAGA doesn't give a damn about our Constitution.
Nope.
To them, the Constitution is an inconvenience that's keeping them from doing what they want to do.
Exactly.
And we can, yeah. And then the way he stacked the Supreme Court with his justices, they don't give a damn about law. They're showing that by breaking the law themselves. And they feel that they're above the law, and they've said that the president has absolute immunity, and that is not part of our fiber. It's not part of our democratic institutions.
No, but it is the foundation for fascism.
That people, yes, right, and actually, what the verbiage that MAGA uses is the exact same verbiage that was used by the Nazis in 1930s.
Right.
Because Germany had a constitution. You know, they had laws and constitution too, but the Nazis they used it to their advantage. I hope people are listening to the generals who've got the guts to speak out. Traditionally, we in the military, we don't get involved in partisan politics. But this is not a usual election, and we need our top generals to come out and say exactly what some have already said: Trump is a fascist. The other issue I have, and this is as a clergy person, I cannot believe that more than 40% of the American evangelical church supports this adulterer, thief, liar, and you know, a felon. For me, I think that American Christianity as a whole is apostate. It does not represent what Christ taught at all. And MAGA claiming to represent Christian ideals, it's crap, and it angers me, you know. And
Yeah.
I'm a Christian, but I'm almost to the point where I don't want to say I'm a Christian because I don't want people to think I'm one of them.
Right.
And my neighbor asked me just the other day, why don't I fly a flag? Because most veterans, you know, we fly the U.S. flag. I said, I'm a white male living in a red area. If I fly the flag, people are going to think I'm one of them. So I'm doing everything possible.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I piggyback on what you said, Father Tim? So you said about 40% of white evangelical Christians. I'm not surprised because I'm from the South. And like in the 50s and the 60s, they used Christianity as a weapon for their hate. So yeah, I'm definitely not surprised about the evangelical Christians liking him.
Well, and let me just
saying what he want to say. Yeah.
Let me remind everybody out there that evangelicalism, and don't get me, we've been evangelicalizing since Jesus. Evangelicalism started in Nazi Germany. Billy Graham went and studied over in Germany. So this is not a far leap. Their hypocrisy, their likening to Trump to biblical kings, that's surprising. But it's really not a far stretch from their inception. It is a totalitarian religion. It is, you worship me or I will burn you forever. So all of these ideals that come from evangelicalism really go in support of. It's just that next step. When you believe that God ordains our president or appoints or something to that effect, that and the people aren't part of that conversation, how they treat the people, how they govern isn't part of that conversation, we get people like Trump. We get people or people that justify his behavior in the name of God because we don't know the ways of God, while they are adulterers. I'm not one to criticize about using foul language. I take pride in using foul language, but I would not be on the public pulpit running for president and slandering all of our institutions as well as cursing up a storm.
Right.
The evangelicals are the problem.
Yeah. Well, and in the United States, you know, Protestantism in the United States was heavily influenced by Puritanism.
Right.
And, you know, we have the myth that the Pilgrims came over here for religious freedom. No, Europe kicked them out because they were trying to take away religious freedom in Europe. And the Europeans said, get out. And they established a theocracy here. And lest we forget, the Puritans had no problem enslaving people.
Right.
And yes, they had a treaty with indigenous tribes, but after 50 years, they threw the treaty away and started genocide. And racism is deeply rooted not only in our culture, it's deeply rooted in our American Protestantism, as well as even in the Anglican tradition I'm in. We had issues, you know, I'm on the progressive side, but there's some that are on the other side. And we're like a family that doesn't talk with each other, you know? So there's a lot of issues in our culture. What worries me on the military side, the military were supposed to be apolitical.
Right.
Last statistics I saw, about 50% of the military is conservative. The other half is liberal. That kind of represents society.
Mm-hmm.
But Trump is not a conservative. He is not a Republican. He's a fascist.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you know, if he wins, God forbid, the military leaders will have the wherewithal to resist him. We'll see what happens, you know.
See what happens. Ash, you've got to be scared.
Oh my Lord, do I have something to say about this? Oh my God. It's terrifying right now. Because, like, honestly, long story short, I lost my job a while back, and I even told myself at the beginning of the month, I'm like, whatever new job I end up getting, I am putting it off until after the election is over, because I could not handle the stress of starting a new job on top of not knowing what the hell is going to happen.
Wow.
Because thankfully, at least right now, I live in a very liberal area in Chicago. But it's kind of my own personal hell because my entire family is super conservative. So it's like state-wise, I have the advantage, but personally, not so much. And so basically for years, my goal has been get the hell out of here because, again, living in Illinois is kind of useless when I'm stuck with conservative family. And it's just like, I've heard pretty much everything there is to hear from my family during this election cycle. And it's like, do you not even care that, like, your kids' rights are on the line? Like, is that not important to you? And, like, I had kind of a good conversation with my mom about this when we went to vote, but it thankfully didn't turn into, like, a huge fight. But we had this conversation, and I said, Mom, just out of curiosity, I know you voted for Trump. I get it. It's whatever. I'm not going to fight you on that. But I just want to know why. Considering, you have a queer kid that's also disabled. Like, what? Just explain it to me like I'm 5, because I need to know. And she said...
I'm sorry, what'd she say?
She said, honestly, if I'm going to be totally honest with you, I think the guy's a complete asshole. And I said, wow. And I said, well, why did you vote for him then? She said, one reason only. I said, what was that? And she said, well, because he's pro-life.
Oh, she's a one issue voter.
Mm-hmm. And it took everything in me not to start a fight, because there's so many things about that guy that just,
I'm a pretty one issue voter too. I don't think that child, strike that. Man, I wish I could edit live shows. I don't think that fetus should have more rights than me. I don't think that fetus should have more rights than anyone else on this planet, especially more than guns have more rights than we do at this point. So, and the whole thing about abortion, there really is no bigger baby killer in the Bible than God. That is part of the misinformation. People have misconstrued a fetus with a child. They have moved the mark for life. And I said this a couple weeks ago on the show that I think that the inception for moving the goalpost of life is saying that Jesus is still alive. A lot of people got really mad at me with that, but it's like, let's look at the definition of life. Life is breath. Life is here on earth. So when we change the definitions of life, then it makes it really easy to justify your position and say, well, that's murder. When in fact, it's not. It's not in any way, shape. It is the equivalent of, I'm going to get so much grief for this, but cancer cells. Cancer cells have beating, I forgot the term, atoms. Beating atoms, all of these types of things. And of course, we want to make sure that we don't spread the cancer. For a lot of people, being forced to have a child would be a cancer in their life. It's not just their body, it is our lives. It is our giving ourselves of something that no one, absolutely no one in government or anyone else except your priest, best friend, parent, whatever, should have any say in what we do.
Right, exactly. And honestly, when she said that, I thought back, I didn't tell her this, but I thought back to 2019. I was in a very abusive relationship I didn't realize was abusive at the time. And I had gotten pregnant, and we ended up dealing with the Plan B thing, but then it happened again. Second time was willingly, but that's beside the point. Long story short, the second time I ended up having a miscarriage. And thankfully, it was super, super early. I have to end up going to the hospital because if I had, we could have potentially been in trouble because I lived in Ohio at the time.
Oh.
And granted, it was 2019 before all this craziness started going on. But that thought was in the back of my mind. Like, I hope I don't have to go to the hospital because, you know, yes, there's a law to protect me, but who knows whether they're going to enforce that or not.
Right.
And I basically went through absolute hell in the bathroom of my apartment because, and you know, thankfully didn't have any medical problems from it, but it was complete hell and having to deal with that on my own in my apartment with me and my partner at the time because I didn't want to risk going to the hospital because it's like my partner was like, you got to remember where we are. And it was just terrible to even think about that because, like, you know, basically they say miscarriages can be different for different people, but mine was like basically, long story short, the worst back labor you can even think of for about 10 hours straight, and it was terrible. And I was just thinking to myself, I cannot go to the hospital with this because no, you know, who knows what's going to happen? Because as I said, the laws were still in place, but it was like, we got to keep in mind it's Ohio.
Yeah.
So you still have to be.
I never thought I would tell this story on this show, but I'm going to because I think it's completely apropos of the hypocrisy. I became pregnant as a teenager and fully planned on keeping it. We named it Joel. At 5.5 months pregnant, I lost the baby. When my mother found out that I was pregnant, she had a fit, to say the least.
Yep.
She called Joel an N-word bastard baby. She kicked, eliminated any talking to me whatsoever. So when I end up in the hospital having a miscarriage at 5.5 months, I literally had to deliver a dead baby.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I'm telling you this story is because my ex-husband, who was just my boyfriend at the time, went and told my mom. He went to her house and said, Sherry's in the hospital. She is having a miscarriage. And my mother, a full-on devout evangelical Christian, dropped to the ground saying, oh my God, praise Jesus. Oh my God, praise Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. That N-word bastard baby won't be here. So she was completely anti-abortion, but it was okay if God killed the baby. That was an answer to her prayers. So, and the fact that we don't take care of children, we don't take care of mothers, we don't take this pro-life stuff is all a blackmail of your emotions. It is a con that has been going on for 4 years, and it doesn't mean anything except to hurt women and to be a complete fucking hypocrite to say praise God to my baby dying. So I don't believe for a second that they are pro-life. It is pro-patriarchy.
Right. Today's pro-life is nothing but pro-birth.
Right.
They want babies to be born, and they don't give a damn about the babies after they're born. They're okay locking children up. They're okay locking up brown children. They're okay deporting black children. They're okay demonizing, children who are not white. And that's not pro-life at all. And on the pro-life thing, I'm a man, so I'm not going to get pregnant. So I really don't have a lot of say in it, But brain activity doesn't start till the end of the second trimester.
Right.
And in the hospital, when I did chaplaincy work, if a person does not have brain activity, even if the heart's still beating, no brain activity means no life.
Right.
No life support. You let the body die. And I think part of this, it's this religious idea of like, oh, there's a heartbeat. No, there's no heartbeat at 6 weeks. That's an electromagnetic pulse.
Right.
The heart doesn't develop.
Cancer cells do.
Yeah. And it gets into a really big theological discussion of ensoulment. When does a soul enter the fetus? And to me, the government needs to stay out of that and let each person live according to your convictions and don't impose your convictions on other people.
Mind your own damn business.
Yeah. And the worst thing I hate is when I've had young people come to me who were like, oops, we're pregnant. And they come to me and they ask me, what should we do? All I can say is, what do you think you should do? But I do point out to them, I say, if you're going to stop the pregnancy, you need to kind of make your decision relatively quickly, because the longer it goes, it becomes a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I can't tell you as a clergy person what you should do. And that's, unfortunately, in the religious world, everybody wants to tell you what you should do.
Right.
You know.
So yeah, I don't want to silence you, Ash, or anything, but I do want to move on. Do you have anything to say before I move on to immigration? Ash?
Sorry, out for a second.
Oh, I want to move on to immigration. Did you have any final words, or Cammie, any final words about abortion?
No, I wouldn't say I was kind of surprised about the Supreme Court with abortion. I was thinking, but when they leaked the decision out, you can tell that when I read the dissent, Justice Roberts did not want did not want to fully overturn abortion. But he just he's more like a states' rights constitutionalist judge,
which is the same argument for slavery,
right? Yeah. So once he did that, and once the Supreme Court did that about abortion, then guess what's on target? Access to birth control, privacy, equal marriage, board versus education.
Right.
I mean, Brown versus board of education. They are gunning for that.
Yeah.
Especially Clarence Thomas. They're going to gun for that. So this election is more. It's bigger than the two people running. It is much, much bigger, because you got everything at stake, from abortion to equality to right to privacy to right to birth control to some of the amendments in the Constitution that are at stake.
Well, you can, if we took a 10,000-foot view of the last 50 years of the United States, it's really easy to pinpoint certain aspects of our political lives, like how pissed off the white supremacy became with Obama. The fact that women are the majority in higher education right now, that is making an insecure, patriarchal, misogynistic person even more so. So the fact that we have a woman of color on the top of the ticket, they're freaking the fuck out. The more power that women have, the less power men have over the women. So the GOP, which needs to be changed because they sure as hell ain't a grand old party. We're talking grand dragons and grand masters of the KKK. But we need to really look at where the insecurity is coming from and how that's being transmitted to our politics. And the fact that women losing body autonomy, them trying to remove the military's vote overseas because of all of the stuff that Trump has said about the veterans. They're getting pissed now. So they're trying to, in their insecurity, they're trying to control everything else because they can't control themselves. So it is women, it is minorities, it is the marginalized, because they pick on anyone they can. Small people do that.
And then they hit on immigration.
Yeah.
And I think it's
immigration, yes.
A segue into your immigration is this idea of replacement theory.
Oh, it's such
white America, especially white men, are scared to death they're going to lose their power. And the reality is, statistics are telling us within the next decade, whites will not be the numerical majority. and and already women are outnumbering men. So white men they're scared, and it's like it's an impotence they're feeling. And rather than celebrating the diversity that makes us strong, they feel like they're losing power. And the reality is white men are losing power, and that's a good thing.
Right.
Because white men have been in charge since the beginning, and they've made a pretty damn good mess of things. It's time we get some new voices.
Right.
In it.
I do want to intersect
Exactly,
one thing that you said, Tim. Actually, for the first time in history, the male population worldwide is starting to overwhelm the female population because of the patriarchy, because of genital mutilations and death from those. So history has shown, and our humanity has shown that because women are only, can only have one baby a year, that there had to be more women to really populate the planet and for the evolutionary theory. So men have always been just a really slight minority because they can just, impregnate anybody they want all the time. So for the first time in humanity's history, because of the patriarchy, and I address this in my book, men actually outnumber worldwide.
Right.
At this point. So that power is being conveyed across the world.
Yeah. Now, in the United States, as of the year, as of 2013, women make up 50.5% of the population in the US. Now, I know China's having a big issue because they had their one-child policy for so long. And what they did was they aborted female babies to have male babies. And now you got a bunch of men running around like saying, hey, there's no women, and so Asia is a little bit different, So, but the US, we're kind of, white men are scared.
And they should be, because we women are going to roar. We are going to roar next Tuesday. We are going to say, you can't do this to us. This might have happened across history and women have succumbed to it or were afraid. I think it's going to be a landslide. I think it's going, and I really hope it is, because Trump needs to crawl back under his bridge, as well as all of the supporters that just promote hate. And let's go into immigration. So Jesus said, as well as on our Statue of Liberty, bring us your tired, your huddled masses. Jesus said, take care of the poor. Throughout the Bible, one of the most commanded thing to do is to take care of the poor. The tithe originated from allowing part of your crops to be given to the poor so that they could come eat. Now they are vermin. They are infecting our blood. And back to the irony and the hypocrisy of this, they want to overturn and rewrite the Constitution for birthright citizenship, which would eliminate 4 of Trump's kids, as well as all of his wives. So it's not a fair immigration program that they are wanting to instill. It is a fully disastrous, racist plan. And they even admitted it on 60 Minutes the other night, where they said, you know what? If one person is an illegal in the family, we'll just send the whole family out. I told my little sister that, who is Mexican, and her father is an illegal alien. And they're Trumpsters. And when I said to her, they're going to overturn birthright citizenship, she said, but I have papers. And I was like, those don't matter anymore. So I think a lot of people are looking at immigrants as dirty and nasty, and they said that in the MSG campaign rally. He's been saying it since the moment he wrote down that stupid gold escalator, and the fact that evangelicals and even a lot of Catholics support this, when it is literally the definition of Sodom and Gomorrah. I can't even shut up. I'm talking over you guys because I'm so passionate about this. It just kills me.
So I got a question. It all started when he said they're taking Black jobs. And I was just like, what is he talking about? I was like, what?
Which is so offensive to begin with, right? Because he's saying, well, they're cotton pickers. That's literally what he was fucking saying.
That's right. And I was like, and
yeah.
I was like, and I was turning to my boyfriend, and he's white, and I looked at him and said, "What's a black job?" and he just looked at me. I said, and I was like, "So you mean that black people are just going to be doing the, you know, the low wages service jobs and stuff? We are not going to go out there in the fields and pick that produce. I'm sorry.
No.
Right.
We did that. I mean, my ancestors did that for free.
Right.
So no. If he's talking about this, does he know how much damage the economy will be?
No,
I
he
mean,
doesn't care.
because you got construction, you got, you know, jobs that, you know, Americans don't want to do. And that needs
Florida
to
is feeling that right now because they did the
Yes.
whole, you know, and now housing is stopping, construction is stopping.
Right.
Who's going to build those homes? Yeah.
Exactly. And
No.
then they're like now starting, like now they're pitting, you know, American black people against, you know, the minorities and stuff like that. And I'm just like, and I'm looking at them, I say, y'all don't understand. Those jobs weren't yours to begin with unless you applied for it. Okay. And also you have to the employers have to take responsibility because they're the ones who are hiring the immigrants and who willing to pay those lower rate wages.
That's capitalism.
Right. Exactly. And most of like your construction, they pay under the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, make it make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't.
There's so much misinformation about immigration. Immigrants pump about $4 billion annually into our economy, even undocumented ones. And people don't realize undocumented immigrants have to buy things. Every time you purchase something, you're paying taxes.
Right.
You know, you're pumping money into the economy.
Okay, but wait a minute. They're not buying the homes that Trump said in the debate. Oh, we lost Ash. They're not buying. They're not taking out loans in banks. That's all more bullshit. So you can't say that they're going to be taking your jobs. Are you going to be a picker? Are you going to be a cleaning lady? Are you going to do these things? And then say that, you know, well, they're taking our homes for us. That's the Russians and China. So that's not those immigrants at the border.
They're making the Russians, China, they're making the homes and real estate unaffordable.
Right.
Unaffordable housing. And there's a lot of, you know, Europeans, immigrants over here is overstaying their visas, but you're not seeing them being deported.
Like Elon Musk, like Peter Thiel, like Melania, like her bringing her family over here. That's why, again, this whole thing about immigrants, it's bullshit.
It
was truly about immigration. Yeah, it's racist. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Because if Melania couldn't be here, Ivanka and Dawn and Eric would need to leave. It's not that there's no equality in it whatsoever. So it has to be purely racism.
Yeah. If since our inception as a nation, we have relied upon immigrants to do the work we don't want to do. We tried to force indigenous people to do the work and found out they won't do it. They just died. And then somebody got the idea, hey, we hear that Africans are really strong. Let's try them out. And then, you know, the slave trade opened up. Then we brought Chinese over to build our railroads. But there was a problem. After the railroads were built, the Chinese were like, we like it here. We're not going back to China. They're in the middle of a civil war. We're going to stay. And they were successful. And then they want to complain about Latinos. Well, hello, Latinos were here before we were even a country. So we're telling, we tell Latinos, go back to your home. One of my closest friends, he's like my son. He's been told by people, go back where you came from. He's like, I was born in Los Angeles. What are you talking about? you know,
Los Angeles. and
Yeah.
San Diego.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right.
right.
I mean, they don't realize that, Mexico was like up to the border of Texas and Oklahoma.
Yeah. Well, all the way up to Oregon and
Yeah.
Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we conveniently took it from them. And then, but the people that were here were like, oh, I guess we're Americans now. We were Mexicans. Now we're Americans. Okay.
Well, and let me throw something out there that is also a ton of misinformation. Illegal immigrants do not qualify for Social Security, Medi-Cal, Medicare, anything. If your state individually offers some type of humanitarian aid for people, then that is one thing. But the federal government does not in any way give any federal assistance to illegal migrants. That is complete bullshit. They are not taking away any of these funds. On the same side, I want to add that anywhere in the UK, if I went over there and fell sick on vacation or decided to relocate, they wouldn't even ask these questions. If I was in Greece or Italy or London, they would not say to me, do you have health insurance? And if you don't live here, we're not going to treat you. The level of humanity has gotten so dark and so bottomless that we are looking at human beings as races as opposed instead of people. We're looking at life as, as something that should be earned for the living, automatically, imposed on the non-living. And instead of looking at these people as humans, and that's why the fascists, that's why I've been calling Trump a Nazi for all of these years. I'm very rarely wrong, but I don't like being right about this. I don't like everything that I was afraid of has happened. And I hate that I've been saying this and now he's saying it. So to get out there and demonize the people that Jesus would have accepted, that Bedouin tribes, people who don't even live with electricity or a toilet, would be more welcoming to an immigrant than we are.
Yeah.
That's just, that is the height of disgusting to me.
Yeah. Well, the idea that America is for Americans, that is a Nazi slogan. We just, we took Hitler's playbook and instead of German, we put American. And, it's the same playbook. It's the same playbook Mussolini used in Italy.
Yep.
And the populist movements that are in Hungary today and Italy and even in the UK, they're using the same thing. England is for English only. Well, you better go look at your history because you guys are a kind of a mutt nation. Everybody's been in there.
We all are. Yeah.
Yeah. Myself, I'm Scottish, German, and English. And I only have to go back to my great grandfather to find an immigrant, a recent immigrant in my family. So, and people say, well, he probably came here legally. We change the immigration laws constantly. They're not fair. They favor certain nations over others. And if you've got money and you're white, you do not have to wait very long to come here.
Yeah. Well, and let me also clarify that immigrating illegally is a civil offense. It is a misdemeanor. So going 20 miles over the speed limit is a greater offense than illegal immigration. And so when you say out there, you being the general public, well, if they're going to, immigrate illegally, then they should have their kids taken away from you. Like I heard during Trump's years. You tell me a single parent that hasn't driven over 20 miles an hour on the freeway or otherwise, and do you think that you deserve to have your child taken away from you? It's just, it's not even common sense. There's no logic to any of this. And that's why there's so much hate going around.
Well, and statistically, immigrants commit less than 5% of the crimes in America.
Right.
That means 95% of the crimes, we're doing it ourselves.
Right.
And yet we want to make them the scapegoat. Immigrants are less likely to be on welfare than a native born American. There's
Right.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and statistically, whites have a higher, because whites do outnumber everybody else right now. So yes, we have more people on welfare, but when we look at it, I can't think of the term I'm wanting right now, but it's a statistical term, but we have more representation of criminality and welfare in the white population than anybody else. So I don't know where white people get off with this. We're projecting is what we're doing.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
I think of when I was a teenager and my mom wouldn't let me get my license until I was 18. So I would drive illegally. And I remember my ex-husband and I being in the car together and us saying, when we finally get our licenses, we're going to do a police chase. We're going to break the law. We're going to, and of course we never did it because then, oh my God, there's consequences for this. But you have to look at that as the immigration. Their entire lives are on the line. If they commit a crime, even being drunk and disorderly in public,
they're going to be sad. Right.
Yeah. So they need to be more legal. They can't afford to be lawless. I mean, my little sister's father broke the law, so he was deported. He came back to be with his daughter. He was deported again. Now he is a repeat. And that is the person that Trump is saying that they should go. Well, if your father, is a repeat offender, she's 14 years old. Just because she was born to those people, she deserves to be deported. I mean, I told her, I'm like, you vote, your family's going to vote for who you want, but I'm telling you right now, I'm going to go ballistic if you end up being deported. Yeah. So it's just, it's dumb. It's just fucking dumb and hateful.
Well, and the children of immigrants are they are the ones who finish school. They're the ones who join the military and become officers and senior NCOs. They're the ones who become teachers and principals. One of my administrators, when I was a teacher, she was the child of an immigrant. Yeah. I've worked for officers who were children of immigrants.
Steve Jobs was a child of an immigrant.
Say again?
Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple,
right?
All of that.
Well, Trump, his mother was an immigrant. His father was the child of an immigrant. I mean, I'm sitting there like, how can you put immigrants down? It's like you're nothing but an immigrant family,
Just the brown ones.
Yeah. No, I think the immigration thing is just like anything else. It's a red herring people use. It's like me being from the LGBTQ community. Everybody wants, all the sins of the nation. It's our fault. Like gay people, we're the most powerful people in the world. We actually cause hurricanes just by virtue of being gay. It couldn't be the fact that you built cities along the coastline. That has nothing to do with it, right? Or that you're causing global warming and climate change. It's always going to be somebody else's fault. And the people they blame, they're like, we haven't done anything. And our economy, we have to have immigrants because we don't have a high enough birth rate to maintain a workforce.
Right.
Germany.
This when banning abortion comes in.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, because they want that free labor.
Yeah.
But they're even admitting it. They're actually saying that shit out loud now. They're saying we need more babies.
Right.
Because we're going to lose our workforce. I mean, they're actually admitting it.
Yeah.
We are almost at the top of the hour. Can we slide in some economy?
Yes.
Okay, so the economy, we are the strength of the entire world right now. Our economy is literally lifting up the rest of the world. Yeah. People forgetting that we needed stimulus checks in order just to get by under Trump. People forgetting that he had the seven of the largest stock market crashes during his 4 years. 7 of the largest crashes. We also had there they are. He also had the largest government shutdown. the tariffs that he is claiming to put in, that he says that he'll make money off of, are literally a tax on us.
No.
Yeah.
As for the economy and people complaining about deflation, I mean, is it me or did people just forgot that this is not the first inflation this country has went through?
Right. Never happened before.
I mean, I was like, hello, did anybody live through the 70s, 80s, like 90s? You know, right, exactly.
Inflation right now is 2.4%. The optimal inflation level is 2%. Anything less than 2%, the economy stalls. You have to have a certain level of inflation. And Trump is saying we'll have zero inflation. You can't, you moron. That will stop the economy. Right. And inflation is a way to control growth. You know, so it's economics is anything complicated. Trump is not going to understand, and the average American doesn't quite get it. And there's a difference between price gouging, which is real right now, and inflation. So prices are high, but inflation is low. And Harris has already said how she's going to deal with price gouging. You know, you do have to have regulations step in sometimes and say, enough with this, knock it off.
Right.
Yeah.
Ash, do you have anything to say to catch up with all of this conversation going on?
I was going to say the one thing that I have noticed throughout this particular election cycle is Republicans basically hate anything to do with regulation about anything.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I mean, can't you tell with the Listra outbreak going on right now? Listeria. Yeah.
Hello.
Baby formula, when he was president, you couldn't even get baby formula.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, he deregulated that. I mean, McDonald's got hit, Smithfield got hit. I mean, exactly.
Well, and if anyone travels the world and goes to countries without regulations, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know instantly that their safety is in jeopardy. They're driving on bad roads. You can just walk in and get heroin at the corner store. You know, there's all of these things that regulations keep us safe, but it's really expensive for the rich. So that's why Trump says, get rid of all the regulations, because he doesn't care about us. He just cares about he and his friends' pocketbooks.
Right.
Ash, I'm sorry, you did anything else?
Yeah, it's just like, it's so ridiculous. Like, especially, as I said, you know, dealing with my family being super conservative, like my dad especially will not shut up about like, oh, Biden this and the economy this. I'm like, do you not understand how basic economics works? Like, I learned this when I was 17 in high school. Like, are you kidding me? And you say you don't understand this? Like, this is not Biden's mess. This is Trump. Because, you know, hello, that tax plan was supposed to be like finally done in 2025. Well, look where we are now. We're still under Trump's tax plan, his stupid buddies that he was lining the pocketbooks of, and you blame Biden for this? It's like,
Well, my only concern about doing this show was kind of like a lack of hope, because coming from a cult environment in childhood, I don't know how to get through to these people who refuse to look at the facts of the situation or give Trump and the GOP a pass on all of their sins. I mean, literally, if Kamala or Biden was doing half the shit that the GOP was doing, that would, I mean, everybody would go crazy. Someone said the other day that Kamala has to be flawless and Trump can remain flawless.
Yes.
Yep.
Van Jones said that.
Yeah. So, and I'm not a fan of Van Jones anymore either, but it's true. I mean, the fact that people are shutting down and that they will just refuse to even see the truth scares me. It really does scare me, because I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's kind of hopeless for me. I really hope that this show makes one person go, okay, fine, I'll go vote. Or, holy shit, I should look into this. Could they be telling the truth about Trump? I heard a Trumpster say that Trump would lose all support if they found out he was a liar. And that just makes my head want to explode. So, you could be presented with the 34,000 lies that Trump has documented that are proven to be lies and say, well, if I figured out he was a liar, I wouldn't vote for him. That is cult. That is a cult thing. Our parties were never supposed to be like football teams. They were supposed to be fighting over roads and if a stoplight should go there and how much school funding it should be, not if this person deserves to live. Oh, I'm on my soapbox. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I am maintaining hope as much as possible. I look at it this way. When Dick Cheney and his daughter backed Harris, there was a seismic shift in the universe. They are about as Republican. I mean, they were Republicans in the uterus. And for them to back Harris, I'm like, okay, there is hope. and I believe it's George Bush's daughter has come out backing Harris, and so we're having some of the real Republicans, what I call real Republicans, coming out saying, we're not part of whatever this is. This is not the Republican Party anymore. This is a crap show. We're voting for Harris.
I think it's your Reagan Republicans that are coming out and are like, crossing over. But when Liz came out with her endorsement and Dick Cheney, I call it the 2 for 1, and people just like, well, she did this, she did that, and blah blah. I said, there's a saying says an enemy of my enemy is my friend. We have a common enemy. We're just trying to get rid of them. Then we can go back disagreeing and not liking each other.
Well, I think that needs to be stated. I mean, Michelle Obama said it the other day. Harris is doing ads. Our votes are private, but because you tend to vote Democrat on one ticket does not mean you're a Democrat. Right. And a lot of Republicans out there going, I just can't. But it's a race, right? And sometimes that one horse needs to win, so the whole track doesn't go to shit. Yeah. This is one race. So, to be able to cross that aisle and say, I'm going to do it, because patriotism does not want to abolish the Constitution. Patriotism does not eliminate rights. Patriotism does not eliminate votes and try to steal people's votes or put them on fire. None of that is patriotic. That is what kills democracies. Yeah. And if you picked up a history book, you would know this.
Yeah.
Again, I'm on my soapbox. I can't wait till this shit's over. Okay, we are well past the hour. Any final words, Cammie? And where can people find you if they want to reach out?
So you can I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook page called Critical Race Theory. It's basically I post. There's a lot of people in there that post about. We talk about injustice of African Americans, stuff that's going on in politics. Also, just explaining what is critical race theory is, because it's only taught in law school, people, okay? Right. And stuff, and systemic racism and stuff like that. But I didn't know. It's kind of like I'm older. I'm 48 now, and I'm kind of like maybe the first, second generation removed from Jim Crow and segregation, because my high school was desegregated in 1972 and I was born in 1976.
Wow.
So I know why my grandma will go to the polls and work the polls every election and go to the convention every 4 years and stuff like that. And then I kind of like realized that when, Obama got elected, and then when he got elected again, I think that kind of started the catalyst of what is going on right now.
Pissed off
And
white supremacists.
yes. And then we came out with this Donald Trump and stuff like that. And my boyfriend said, maybe if he loses, he won't run again. And I told him, I said, the devil's not going away. Okay. Right. He is going to keep going and going and going.
Gotta die sometime.
Right. People need to look at the big picture. Is it going to be democracy, or we're going to be like Venezuela? That's the only thing that's going to be happening. It's going to be decided on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I met Cammie because I actually found her group on Facebook and reached out to her and she was on my CRT show like 2 years ago now, right?
Yes, 2 years ago.
So Cammie does good work. Go look at that Facebook group. Anything else before I move on? Okay, Ash, any final words, and where can people find you?
So I do have a Facebook page. I don't get into a ton of political stuff on there, but when it does come up, it's a lot of fun because I basically like to kind of chew people out. So sometimes that can be fun. So if you want to follow along with that, you can find me on Facebook. Any final words? Honestly, I just have to say, if you haven't voted yet, do it. Because if you're not in a minority yourself, you probably know people that depend on you now. And trust me, all of us are scared shitless.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm probably going to be down in a couple beers on Tuesday because I voted weeks ago. But I'm just going to be sitting there, refreshing my phone, hoping and praying that people I know make the right decision, knowing that some I know haven't made the right decision.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you claim to care about your marginalized friends and family if you can't even make the right decision when you vote? So, yeah, go out and vote.
Make sure your friends. They are due. They are well earned. I don't drink, but I will be smoking. Might even break out the bong for that.
Oh my goodness.
Thanks so much for coming back on, Ash. I'm so sorry that you had tech issues. Tim.
I have both my personal Facebook page, which is under my name, Timothy Warren, and then I have a ministry page, St. Francis ISM. And we live stream Mass every Sunday. I have a chapel on my property. And our ministry now has more than 12,000 followers.
Nice.
Which I have no idea how that happened. And we have a large audience in the Philippines, Africa, and Indonesia. I don't know how that happened, but I just network with people. That's all I do is network. And so I'm very happy that at least somebody wants to listen to me preach on Sundays, And I am a social gospel liberation theology priest. I am very, very passionate about social justice in our country. I think that is the core of the gospel message. And if Jesus were to come to the U.S. today, they would deport him. He's a brown Palestinian Jew, He is not the color they think he is, And as a retired military veteran, yes, I'm patriotic, but I am not one to say, well, God bless the USA. No, God bless all people.
Right.
And I love my country, but I've traveled around the world and I understand why other people love their country. And, but if we truly love our country, we need to vote. And and even if you got to hold your nose and vote for what you think is the lesser of two evils, vote. For me, the clear choice as a patriotic American is I'm voting Democrat. And as a Christian, I believe the Democrat Party is not perfect, but they do represent a lot of the things I think that's critical. And And at least on the Democrat Party, we have a wide variety of voices, everything from Bernie Sanders to AOC to, more conservative kind of Democrats. And that's what makes the party great. And I remember as a kid watching Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan chiding each other. And they were like polar opposites politically, but yet they knew how to be civil.
Right.
They knew how to be grown-ups in the room.
Civility must be returned.
Yeah, I hope we can get back to that.
I do too.
I have a neighbor who is a hardcore Trump supporter because that's what God wants. And I'm like, but we get along. I'm able to sidestep, some of the little landmines. I have another neighbor that did vote for Trump who understands that that was a big mistake. My other neighbor on the other side of me is like me. We're like flaming liberals, and so, and yet, and all three of us, all of us were able to get along. We are everything from extreme right wing to, those of us over here, the flaming liberals. So if we can get along, our country needs to learn to get along as well.
Well, because 1 week from tonight, the polls will be closed on the East Coast. So we will see.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, guys, I got to send you on back and close the show because we're well over an hour. But thank you so much for all of your input and your perspectives from your places. And I think all of us being in a bar was fun. I want to send you backstage. Thanks again.
Bye.
So there is a very large veterans memorial cemetery on the 405 in, where am I? Los Angeles. There are thousands of grave markers. In fact, as you drive by the freeway, they tend to blur the whiteness of them, and they kind of look like a maze. It's actually really pretty, but it's really sad because there are thousands of dead soldiers. So 1 week from tonight, I want you to think of all of them because they literally gave their lives for your vote. They literally gave their lives, put their lives on the line so that you had the right to vote. Do not disappoint those veterans. Do not take their lives for granted and not vote or say that your vote doesn't count. If your vote didn't matter, the Republicans wouldn't try to keep it. They wouldn't try to stop you from voting. So it does matter. Your voice matters, and that is where the freedom comes from. I know I was on a soapbox tonight, but I'm very passionate about this because I have grandchildren. I have people that I love all over the place who are going to be affected by something like this. So please honor those veterans, honor everyone that has ever served this country, and go vote. Okay, enough of my soapbox. It was another great show. Thank you so much for watching and your input. Thank you so much, Patrick Young, for your continued support as the show's producer. Next week's show is with one of my personal heroes, Bette Crawford. She is a boss bitch that I aspire to become. Can't wait to chat with her. Vote early if you can, but just vote. If you like the show, share it, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks again for watching. Have a wonderful week. And as always, walk in love. Mwah. See you soon.